Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Teddy. I'm back here working on the final length of my inventory management system for Cece's Candy Corner. Again, this is for my CEN 3024C Intro to Software Development class. So last time we had created the full program. We created the GUI and we made sure all of our back-end logic was correctly done through testing and stuff like that. Um, Now we're at the portion where we need to, instead of having a local file with information that populates, we are now integrating database functionality into this program. To start, before we go and do some of that, I do want to let you know we did go ahead and update some of the code here. Some of this code on the main program, it flips it exclusively from a local file application to one that accepts a database. There were some minor fixes in here that quality of life changes I added to the program as well. For example, currency selector. Um, this wasn't required before, but I felt like since it's going to be a system in which multiple people can possibly use this in the future, I wanted to make sure that it didn't just default to U.S. dollars. If somebody in Canada wanted to buy this software from me, or somebody in China or Japan wanted to buy this software from me, I wanted to make sure that it incorporated more types of currency. So when we do open this program, you will see it default to the US dollar. However, there will be an option to change the currency to show it at different prices. Um, Another thing that I did as a quality of life default is if an integer shows up as like a flat number, for example, let's say it's like 33.5. Instead of having it say 33.5, since we're talking about money and we're talking about cents, dollars, nickels, etc., I wanted to make sure that it specified still that it was putting in that full digit there. Um, and vice versa. If, the dollar sign was $20, but it's 20.00. To simplify, it's just $20 flat. The system goes through and it flags that kind of stuff. Here's some more catches just to make sure that the file path for the database is correct. This is where essentially when it asks you to start up the program, it's going to ask you to provide a link to the database. We'll get to all that shortly. I do have it set up locally on my computer. I have not hard coded in any paths as a requirement from my professor. Specifically, we need to make sure that the user gets prompted for what database they may be trying to access. So we want to make sure that when the user goes to put it in, it's going to accept and go to that location and pull up that database. But also, if a database is not not provided and the user say clicks out of the program or whatever, the application will know to exit. If you hit escape, such of that nature, it should close out and exit the program. Um, just some more stuff here. We created the database manager. Specifically within the database manager, we did give it some preset parameters specifically. This is going to, by default, if you do not create a table, which there will be a table that is provided. However, if the file doesn't work properly, the schema file that I have included with it does properly have the the SQL code, to not only create the table but populate all required entry submissions. We can also go and take a look at that. Bear with me here. Let me go ahead and pull that up here real quick. I had a copy of it. Here, bear with me. Just 1 second. So I can give you some idea of what this looks like here. Perfect. Notepad, where are you? My notepad. Granted, I do a lot of this stuff in here, but this is the database schema that I have here. As you can see here and here. The portion of this, the create a table, is in fact in the code, and it is in fact the same code you will see here. This is just to create a table. By default, you know, when it runs the program, it's going to want to create a table. If you wanted to create your own table, you could. However, since I am auto-populating it with the initial data, as you can see here, there are over 20 entries. This 21st entry will be down to 21, or to 20, once we go ahead and remove Will Byers. He's always my test guy. I just kind of throw him in there to, you know, test the limits of the system. So as you can see here, this is a schema. Now, this is just a normal untitled file right now. However, it is in my files that I'm going to be delivering to my professor. Let's go ahead and open a new window. File Explorer. Module 10. I have a lot of stuff on here. As you can see here, we have the schema. I'm just going to open it up here real quick in Microsoft SQL. See if it does. Not, we can just go ahead and edit it. No, we'll just go ahead and edit. As you can see here, it's the same information. And as soon as this program decides to open itself 14 years later, bear with me here. Give it a second to load in. We're just going to cancel all that. But as you can see here, either way, the way it's probably going to pop up again. Obviously, we're not connected to the actual database here. We'll get to that shortly when we get into there. But I just wanted to show genuinely what it would look like. Now, keep in mind this content, or while it is being shown in Microsoft SQL, it is in fact formatted to SQLite as per instructions per my professor. So we're not going to say we're just... closed out of my project. Let me go back in here. Don't mind all my stuff on my desktop. I got a lot of stuff on here. Need to clean that thing up. Alright, now we're just go ahead and load back into the program since I accidentally closed out of it. Supported feature. Alright, perfect. Okay, now we're back in. As you can see here, like I said, this is the SQL table. We made sure to put SQL exceptions in, so if there are any issues creating any kind of table, the user's gonna know. Trying to think of some other factors here that we've done in this one. Oh yes, I can think of a few, not in this particular one. I did go ahead and update both the inventory manager and the tests involved to reflect the new code and to work with the database instead of having that local file. Okay, so that is a bit of my code. Let's go ahead and I'm going to first show you from the IDE that it works. We're going to start by going to the corner. Change this over here. I'm going to run the GUI. It's building now. As you can see, as it said before, as I stated before, it's going to ask you to enter the path for your SQLite database file. The database of this file for me is just standard inventory.db because that's what it is. It's an inventory table. However, let's go ahead and put in that full path. I'm going to start with the backslash because the name is still the same. However, the path file is not. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. As you can see, it's got all of the pre-populated information that I showed you here before. all of them with IDs, all of them with descriptions, quantities, prices, and a stock of in stock or out of stock. As I mentioned before, this is the USD, this is it in Canadian dollars, this is in the Chinese yuan, or won, and this is it in the Japanese yen. Like I said, I don't think necessarily in the future that people from other countries may want to buy it. However, for conventions and stuff like that, where my wife is going to be working with lots of different people and stuff like that, and maybe she has to work with a currency converter, we want to make sure she's able to see all the prices in different languages. This is an added function that I added in just for a quality of life thing. It's not necessarily required for the program, but I like going above and beyond at any opportunity, as long as it's functional and elegant. Also, we have sort features, so we can sort it by ID, we can filter and sort it by description, ABC order if you wanted, show it by quantity, show it by price, and finally sort out in stock, out of stock. Now, as you can see, these are all the displayed bracelets. It is in fact displaying all bracelets with the inventory. Let's go ahead, since we already added will buyers, we're going to add 022, and we're going to say this is, let's say L and Will are family. So we're going to call it L Stranger Things. Now we're going to do a quantity of 12, price $15.99, because I'm not going to mess with all the prices. As you can see here, it shows that we still have that confirmation that it's successfully added. Let's go ahead and test out some functionality of that, though. Let's say we want to change the stock to 0. Because, we went to a convention. We just sold a whole bunch, right? Now the quantity shows 12 here. And yes, if I update the quantity here and I hit OK, it's already 12, right? So let's go ahead and update the bracelet. Excuse me, 022. Now, as you can see, we have current 12. Let's go ahead and set it to 0. Now, mind you, it does say that it's in stock. I brain derped. We're going to go and do the other part of it once we go ahead and do this step. I was trying to do that step before we got here. However, we're going to go through and we're going to update it to 0. And as you can see, now that it's quantity 0, it shows out of stock. It does show you that the quantity was updated and that it was updated from out of stock. Or updated to out of stock, rather. Now we're going to go back in. And we're going to put her quantity back to 12. Because that's what we had it set for. As you can see, it now shows it back in stock, right? Fantastic. Let's go ahead and update her price. Let's say we want it to be 0.00. As you can see, now it's free, which is perfect. Great. Let's try to change its price to a negative number. So negative 0.99 or negative 99 cents. Error. Can't be a negative number. So we can in fact update the price of it. So let's go ahead and put it back to $15.99. Actually, let's go ahead and update it one more time. I wanted to show you something here. Okay, see how it says $15.99? Let's say I update it to $15, right? As you can see down here, it only shows the $15. It does not show the 00 after the decimal point. Like I said earlier, this is quality of life change of mine. If you don't need the cent sign, it can make math more confusing. Unless you're working entirely with decimals, then it can mess it up. However, for the sake of quality of life and for simplicity for my wife, who will be the main proprietor of the software, I wanted to include that function in there for her because she'll get annoyed by that stuff. But let's go ahead and remove L now. As you can see, unlike before, we've got more functionality. That's right. It says, are you sure you want to delete this bracelet? I have gone back and put in specific window pop-ups as confirmation messages, because something that I did not have previously that I think, is required in my opinion for this is confirmation boxes that ensure the user knows they're about to make a big change. Whether that's deleting a bracelet, adding a bracelet, because sometimes, a cat can step on the keyboard, and last thing you want is, a random cat walk across your keyboard bracelet in your system. So let's go ahead and do that. As you can see, we got ahead and removed that one. Let's go ahead and update Will Byers, because there is actually one more thing I need to show you in terms of confirmation. Now we know he has a positive stock, right? I just updated it to 15. Now what's happened, say, if the stock was at 15, but I switched it to out of stock? Good question, Teddy. Well, you're going to get a pop-up, and it's going to tell you specifically, changing the status to out of stock, it will also set the quantity to 0. Are you sure you want to proceed? And the reason why I added this is because it makes no sense for a bracelet to be out of stock and have a quantity. It's a logic error that I personally want the user to understand, because if they fat finger and hit a button or something like that, they're going to be upset about that kind of stuff. So prompting the user at every step of the way, to me, is a very important thing. Too many pop-ups can be annoying, but not enough pop-ups, especially when you're working on stuff that can be removed and updated and stuff like that. Just for data integrity purposes, it's always good to give a confirmation so a user can go, oh crap, I'm not supposed to be here. Let me back out of it. So we're going to go ahead and proceed, and as you can see, it updated the quantity from 15 to 0 the minute I confirmed that it was in fact out of stock. Now we're going to go ahead and click exit. Now that is it working through the IDE. Now something cool about this program is I created two things. One, I created a bat file, and this is something I created before. We're going to go into project here, the project directory, and I have this folder in here called specifically custom runtime. And in this folder, what it is designed to do is it's designed to be just all encompassing. So like, as you can see here, it's got both the Cece Candy Corner app jar and the bat. And when you happen to click on the bat twice, same thing. Asks you for the prompt. Put in the directory location. Make sure there's no extra typos or anything like that. And boom. As you can see, not only does the system work, but it also kept the changes that I made. L is no longer here, and Will Byers, when we first started this when we started this video, actually had a positive quantity and was in stock. As you can see here now, it has retained those changes, so it is in fact saving the information correctly to the database. But we're going to do one last thing before I let you go. As you exit the program, you get this, and go ahead and close out of that. We're just going to do a quick test. Go ahead and remove that typo. We're just going to run our inventory manager test to make sure all the testing on the back end is working properly. And as you can see from every test run here, add a new bracelet, generate low stock, new inventory should be empty on initialization, preventing adding bracelets with duplicate IDs, preventing the removal of non-existent bracelets, because you can't do that because you can't remove nothing. the prevention of an update with an invalid quantity, as I showed you earlier, or preventing an updating of a non-existent bracelet, can't update what's not there. It's able to successfully remove a bracelet on its own. It's able to update its quantity. And then it's these two confirmations. And I'm going to go over these briefly because these were a pain in my tuchus. These two final tests here gave me about 9 hours worth of work to resolve this issue. Specifically, what was happening... I want to talk a little bit about it because I want to talk about a bit about my troubleshooting process in my mind thinking. Over the last day, basically, this day I'm currently still on because it's like 11, 12 o'clock at night now. These two tests specifically were requirements that every time an update was made to the system that the system should refresh. For some reason... it would update when you would update the quality or the quantity to 0. That test worked properly, and there were no issues with it. However, the update from 0 to a positive number, for some reason, just was not working. So I figured out the issue, and the issue at that time was I was looping them in under one test umbrella, or essentially one test with several different assertions, and it was causing an issue where the system wasn't finding the proper status being changed. Specifically, when the status, when you would update something from out of stock to in stock, it wasn't properly updating to refresh it on the main screen that the user will see. So by splitting up the assertions, I was able to resolve the issue and get it working. So, oddly enough, sometimes it just pays not to bundle everything together. And this is one of those cases. Yeah, so I figured I'd give you a brief, update on that and my struggles in 10-hour process of trying to resolve that issue. But yeah, as you guys can see from both the user fully self-contained aspect and the IDE, IntelliJ IDE aspect, both seem to be working without any issues, and all the tests that were performed for this all came back positive. Nothing failed on my end. So everything should be good when I go to send this code over to my teacher tomorrow. Also, I did make note to update my GitHub, so the updated GitHub link will be provided as well. But if you guys want to go check it out, or if you want to install it yourself, you just need to go to github.com/Finbee, that's FINNBEE. And then from there, you should be able to see my repositories. Anywho, yep, that was it. Sorry for keeping you guys so long. Sorry it's so late. Hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching. Bye.